Chapter 4, 1985. First person, Danny, then Katherine, then back to Danny. Phone booths in the rain, man. Nothing else smells like him. Receiver on one cheek, the other hand covering my street side ear. Buses, trucks, cars, they've all decided right now to piss me off. Corner push into the slot reminds me that if I make this call, I won't have enough for the burger I promised myself. Well, maybe a coffee. A few seconds later, the voice I want answers. Cool. Got you. Roger. Done it, man. Look, can I come around and get paid maybe now, dude? Invoice? Look, can't we just do this, Right. C&D's reputation. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, I got great stuff. Mime artists and berets, French sticks like guns, death masks, some art school dudes made a giant cake like a Pacific atoll and blew it up. Oh, maybe they were chemistry students, I don't know. Look, okay, Monday, yeah, sure. No, I won't starve. Thanks for the gig, Roger. Yeah, man. Ciao. Starving nice guy places phone carefully, then kicks the booth wall, but some other more creative dude had the pissed off idea first. It's already knackered. Not one decent shot, I gripe as I leave the booth. Half a tuna sandwich in the fridge. Tuna, shit. A friend of mine from art school had got me a gig covering an anti-nuclear march. I'd stayed away from marches since '81, I nearly got my head smashed in. Definitely got my balls busted that time by one Catherine Stonefields in a Turkish cafe. Bet she's making a packet now. Some kind of high heels, tight skirt, legal now. The kind forever clutching folders and vanishing into marble entrances just after pretending you don't exist. It's Hiroshima Day, 1985. High above me, the town hall clock chimes 5 p.m. Bang. Sound must have travelled because the clouds part and a wet orange sun bounces off a couple of tall buildings. The glow hits the wet stones waiting in the square below. I half lift my camera and the what a man telephoto lens. The telephoto is just there in case somebody takes a swing at me. No need to get close this time. Yeah, I should have been a nature photographer. People just piss me. There's something down the telephoto gets my attention. Maroon with blue sitting in front of the fountain. I adjust the focus. It's a bald woman in a maroon tablecloth. She's kneeling by the edge of the fountain and pushing off little candles and paper cups or folded paper kind of thing. It's cold. She's in sandals. I shiver for her and breathe out my usual shit. The shit of being forever married to 125th of a second. That is. A photographer knows he can't pass a shot by, even at the end of the day. If the shot is on, you take it. There is no other option. Because if you don't take it, then the what if wakes you at 3 o'clock in the morning and eats its way out like a worm. The first hour or so I just circle the square, taking angles at the nun's handmade sign. 24-hour Hiroshima silent vigil. You're welcome to join us. People do for a while, then people go. That was the world in a nutshell for me. You're welcome to stay and save the world if you've got nothing else on. It's August and cold. The workaholic wind hasn't taken a break for months. For the next hour, I just watch the nun. I try to imagine what her name had been. Joyce, Mary, Raywin, before Maroon. And what was it now? Peas Blossom, Shakti, Bodhinanda, something like that. She repeated the same ritual every 20 minutes. She'd get up from her lotus position on the brocaded cushion, light incense, and pass it to anyone sitting on the 8 cushions that circled her. Then she'd relight the candles floating in the fountain or replace the ones that had gone down with all hands. As the hours passed, I started to fall in love with her a little. This bald Buddhist nun, she was probably pretty cool to hang out with. Bullshit, She meant it. Just meant it. You could see that she knew what she was doing was for the good, and then she'd just given herself to the good thing completely. Yeah, I was in love with her. Except that they don't do it, get intimate and so on. But considering my history with females, maybe that would be a safe option. Yeah. Falling for a Buddhist nun. Katherine. The passing of Katherine. It's 9 a.m. Cold, bleak outside. The bus is passing Aotea Square. I peered out the window, past all the reflections of its ramshackle contents, including me, dressed up of course. Through the mass of reflections and shapes, I think I see small lights near the fountain in the square. Strange to think of people having lives out there. I haven't thought about other lives for a while. People struggle, I suppose. Well, I know. Pro bono cases come across our desk all the time. I never touch them. There were plenty of new grads for that, hungry to do good. I was hungry to do great, important things, head-turning things. The square passed behind us. I thought I saw someone crouching, perhaps picking up a dropped bag or taking a photo. It reminded me of Danny. I hadn't thought of Danny for some time. If I hadn't stolen his camera, or the camera he took those pictures with, I would have thanked him when I got this job. The youngest grad to be given associate status at Staunton Kilby. Danny's pictures had forced the police force into settling and thrust my name into the right legal circles. Also, the knowledge that at least one nurse could pay her medical bills assuaged most of the guilt. Guilt is like that, I have discovered. You can lock it in a soundproof room, but never forget it's there. Then again, Danny had said it wasn't even his camera. Everyone steals. It's just a matter of who holds on to the stolen goods the longest. This is what I do, you see. Build stronger arguments against an opponent. My conscience, in this case, my conscience never even graduated law school, and confidentially, it doesn't have a chance. Raise your chin, girl. You did something good, it's true. I think that it would be nice for Danny to know that, although I tell myself I don't care what most people think of me, and I most certainly want Danny to know he's in that category. Yet he's somehow still here, in my mind, even though I'm very good at moving on. The past is of no interest to me. I think of it like a concert, where the music is dreadful, where one is compelled to leave before the end. When you first exit the hall for the stillness of night, you still hear the discordant hum, but the further you walk away, the more it fades. What was I thinking about? Oh, Danny. Well, we were unlikely to meet in the same circles. Are we even? All square? Who's asking? Is it you, conscience? His need, his actions. No, there's no coming back for me. I suppose I'll have to practice forgiveness with someone at some point, but not him, not Danny, not now. 1977. Almost a year after the drowning. Susan, that's right. Goodness, I've forgotten her name for a moment. Yes, 8 years ago. We'd been at some high school party in Titirangi, the lights of the city shimmering far below. I was standing outside, entranced by all that power, all those lights. I sensed someone near in the dark, watching. It was his smell. Danny had a particular smell. Wet leather, cigarette smoke, a sort of manly, chemical, oily hair fragrance. Photography, I suppose. Thinking about it, he'd begun. I instantly knew what he was talking about. It's nearly the first anniversary, I replied. Tomorrow. Look, I got the keys to this car to Spitfire. A what? A convertible, Triumph Spitfire? Yes, was all I'd said. Any experience was better than just staring and remembering. Where? Anywhere, I said. Had I even meant somewhere we could be alone? I don't know. I wasn't 16 yet. I think it was just curious. Danny's need to share some moment coincided with perhaps my need to experience human physicality. It might be useful, I told myself. I doubted it. But at a month or two short of 16, you only think you know everything, so what do you do instead? You taste everything to confirm your suspicions. The bus jolted over some bit of accidental concrete and woke me from the past. Past is like being stuck in bed, sick. Danny was so stuck in the past, carrying around that photograph of Susan. But everything else, even this bus, it's moving forward into the future. That night in 77, I had let Danny lead. Well, no longer. Tonight, I would be the one leading, the one in control. It was Hiroshima Day. Days excited me, Christmas Day to a lesser extent, but Labor Day, women attaining the vote day, and Hiroshima Day, they were days to reach ridgetops, to wave red flags, to reveal a long-held secret. People were looking up, noticing the bright new things. I suppose there had been the usual marches. I thought of the French. I could see myself in France. The anti-nuclear issue was the hottest thing around. The next flotilla was gathering. The reason the Greenpeace ship was here in port. To lead them all into the test zone. More French commandos beating up protest sailors. I secretly hoped, I suppose. Jeremy was my boss, was a step away from being counsel to the Greenpeace protest movement. Why wouldn't he take his brightest star with him to the High Court, the Privy Council, even The Hague? I guiltily practiced my opening. Distinguished members of the International Court of Justice, I come to you today not just as lead attorney for the anti-nuclear movement, but as a Polynesian. Oh, darker foundation, they wouldn't know what I was anyway. I would wear something loose so I could roll up my sleeves. Do you see lesions on these arms? No, because I do not live within 100 kilometers of Mururoa Atoll. But if I did, well, perhaps a trifle melodramatic. But it is Europe, for God's sake, home of opera. Where am I going? So late and still in my work clothes? I don't like buses, but a bus reeks of anonymity to me. On a bus, I can pretend I'm doing something else, something ordinary. I am actually working tonight, as well as the other. I have been to Jeremy's house before, delivering papers, dinner once. His wife is stupidly lovely. Sharon, that's it. She looks her age. Jeremy, senior partner of Staunton Kilby, looks 10 years younger than his 38 years and acts quite a bit younger, like a teenager on heat sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't even wait for the elevator doors to close fully. He's arrogant, impulsive and reckless. Everything I'm not. I lean my head against the window, forgetting for a moment my issues with public hygiene. She's away, Sharon, visiting her mother in Tauranga. Her mother is not well. I understand practicalities and being able to separate one's emotions. Jeremy knows it's the perfect time to fuck me. Sharon's mind will be on her mother rather than suspecting anything like this. Therefore, the whole thing will be far more relaxed, possibly with limited damage all around and potentially a lot of gain for me. Even though I'm in her house, I shan't mention her unless he does. Oh no, that seems unfair. To fuck her husband and then talk about her. An adulteress shouldn't comment on anything about her house, the wife's house, her choices. No, completely unacceptable. Perhaps I should praise something. I have noticed in our office that men can be irrationally loyal to their spouses when they're betraying them. It occurs to me that a few people might find what I'm doing immoral. And they would be right. It is immoral. I am, of course, aware of that. This is neither compulsion nor a schoolgirl crush. It's simply a career move, like sending flowers or making sure you're in the right place at the right time. I do not have the slightest interest in taking Jeremy away from Sharon. They fit so well together. Shall we invite Sharon and Jeremy to dinner? Far better than, shall we invite Jeremy and Katherine? Well, actually, now I hear it. Casual affairs, I think, can actually enhance a marriage. I was very young when the obvious occurred to me about men after my parents divorced. Men are not natural monogamists. They may learn it, or pretend to for the sake of peace, which is what most of them do. Men usually like to be left alone to get on with their three simple wants. Sex, their sense of self-worth, being good at something, their sense of self-importance, and third, well, I haven't quite got the third. I think it might be something to do with homosexuality or barbecues. You see, I can make a joke. I'm not completely the ice maiden. That's the nickname the secretaries whisper over their coffee. I would be quite happy not to have sex at all. It takes up at least half a day. Well, more with all the phone calls and expectations of lunch, coffee, etc., etc. I can get lunch myself, and without having to say complimentary things about a man. They want to know you're addicted to them before they betray you with someone else. Men are habitual creatures. I should write a book about them if I cared that much. Yes, habitual. They like a little bit of marauding and pillaging during the day, but want to come home to dinner and a cold beer at the usual time. Then they can complain about how little time they get for marauding and pillaging, as if their lives were in somebody else's hands. I'm not that. My life, my hands, right here, right now. No regrets. If I want something, I will go after it. Attitude is most of it. Correction. Looks, capital L, really do give that extra 5% to close a deal. I'm quite confident my looks are particular enough to be attractive. We will work, Jeremy and I. The work is the important thing. And for him to realize how indispensable I am. He worries about the case. I can take the load off in so many ways. I'm 14 years younger than him. He absolutely needs my advice, and he doesn't give me what I want. Well, once you bed a married man, you own a married man. The bus breaks. I'm roused. An old hag of a woman, homeless and bedraggled, waddles to the door. It opens and the bus driver waits. But she just turns and looks straight back at me. Her gaze suggests recognition. I don't know if she hears the bus driver first or I do. Lady, the door. Missus, I can't get it more open. She smiles at me, then turns and steps down onto the footpath. I can't help turning and watching her as we move off. I see the strangest thing. She's waving goodbye to us. To the bus. Danny and the nun. I think the last bus just passed. Shit. So it's a walk back to the harbour and my squat. A derelict ferry on Marsden Wharf. I've got no money for the fare anyway. I haven't sat yet on one of the nun's 8 cushions, too busy shooting. They've been full once or twice earlier in the evening, the cushions carefully arranged on the paving, that is. But now only the homeless are hanging around and a couple of teenagers out of the last movie, giggling on 2 cushions they'd sneakily pulled together. The Buddhist nun stands and offers them each a candle to place. They thank her with wide grins, bowing a little too much. Anything Eastern, you just bow. They're like a couple of kids pushing off model boats in a duck pond. I get some shots, but nah. Roger's going to do his frown and then silent thing. Then he'll place the contact sheet on the table and sigh. I hate people who sigh instead of telling you what they really think, which is, this is shit. Yeah. I can't stand, I'm so tired. If I sit on the Buddhist nun's cushions, I'll just keel over and become subject matter rather than... Well, then I see the bench. Yeah, that'll do. Just out of the blaring light of the street lamp. I rest my head back, remembering to wrap my camera strap around my wrist just before I fall asleep. My eyes start to close. The rain has left a puddle of water beneath the bench. A discarded Coke is tipped over and the ice from the cup is taking its time melting to become one with the puddle. Dreamily I notice that the puddle is reflecting the leafless trees above me and the wedding cake clock tower of the town hall. An old flyer blows into the puddle, months old, advertising a gig by a poet I knew had died recently. And in my mind, caught between waking and sleep, I remember that he'd sold more poems dead than alive. Like the song says, you don't know what you got till it's gone.